From my earliest childhood memories, cowboys were always my heroes. My idols were Vash Varu, Red Ryder, Tom Mix, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, and many others. They were the straight shooters who fought for freedom and justice for the defenseless and downtrodden. By the time I was 5, I'd already worn out my stick horse, my rocking horse, my Red Ryder baby gun, and had gotten licks for sneaking rides in my grandfather's huge draft mare. Although hopelessly obsessed, I still had no horse to ride like the cowboys. In desperation, it led me to possibly being the first 8-year-old forerunner to use positive reinforcement and ride bitless bareback. But maybe it doesn't count, as my mare was a Jersey cow named Mill Red, much like this one. The only equipment I needed to ride her was a handful of feed to coax her up close to the fence so I could scurry up on her back, and an old cornstalk for impulsion, which she mostly ignored. She was selected by the process of elimination. These were just a bit too intimidating, and the Angus steer my dad was raising for the dinner table expressed an uncommon ability to extricate me from his back to an altitude that made landing extremely difficult. Lil Red and I rode elbow to elbow with my cowboy friends all that summer, fighting outlaws, rustlers, and Indians, and making countless cattle drives. She died of cancer that following winter, but as long as I live I will never forget her tolerance and compassion, helping a small boy to live his dream. A few decades later, I got into horses full time. Hold on just a second. Good morning. Before we get started this morning, I'd like to introduce my equine kids. This is Grandma Rebel. This is her son Abel. Her grandson is behind us in the pasture. Her great-granddaughter is next to her, Lady. And that's her great-grandson, Sundance. On the other end, we have Boss, who is sort of the odd uncle. Between the end of the Civil War and the turn of the century, it's said that about 30,000 men drove over 6 million cattle from Texas to Kansas and other northern markets. Though their origins were steeped in the Spanish vaquero, the early cowboys of the American West developed a personal culture of their own, a blend of frontier and Victorian values, with a good dose of chivalry. Such hazardous work in isolated conditions forged a tradition of self-reliant individualism, with great value placed on personal honesty. Making your word good was a way of life, not a cliche. And as such, they redefined the epitome of freedom, nobility of heart, and internal fortitude. Trail drives were dangerous and filled with a myriad of hardships. They worked from dawn to dusk, through rain, sleet, hail, and burning blistering sun. There was always the chance of being thrown from their horse, bitten by a snake, gored by a rank cow bull, attacked by a wild animal, shot by a rustler, struck by lightning, crushed by a stampede, or attacked by a marauding Indian. Too sick and too tired simply weren't in their vocabulary, and any serious medical help in those remote areas was unheard of. Though romanticized by Hollywood in later years, it's no small wonder that our unique American cowboy culture is globally recognized as a symbol of our American values. Even many of our presidents were personally drawn to that culture. How appropriate that the bronze statues of that culture in the center of Dallas are larger than life. Perhaps their long-lasting popularity may in good part be due to the fact that we have a tendency to hold fast to the good things in life.
The voice of sunset singing along with a piece of